The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
You look great, by the way.
Thank you.
I love the beard. I know you don't. It's silly to talk about what people look like, but you look great.
It's not that silly because I look a lot different, and I find a pretty big disconnect between who people think I am and who I actually am.
Right.
And I think that a lot of this is my fault because whenever I would go record an album, I'd look like this wild mountain man.
Right.
And then I'd come back to play the songs and I'd sort of clean up.
Right.
And this year I was just like, why do I do that?
Why do that?
Why am I? And it's because I was scared. I want people to like me, so I thought I had to look a certain way or do my hair a certain way and not have a, beard that you could hide a guitar in.
And food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I got to say, though, I think all along, and correct me if I'm wrong, even with the material that you put out, the music you put out years ago, I always felt like we knew who you were. We
have a connection. This is true. I think you get me. I think, we haven't spent a lot of time together, but, you just know. Common said it doesn't take a whole day to recognize sunshine.
But,
that's nice.
But Mike, in your music, it's kind of all there, and I must make some major assumptions here since last we spoke, and with the new album, with all the new music. I mean, your life you've been twisting and turning, and you have a whole new spectrum of things to write about and sing about.
Well, life does that to you, and that's why I take a little time between albums. People often ask, where you been the last 2 years? So, the funny question I get often in life, I'll go back home and people say, oh, you still do music? And I'm like, yes. Yeah. But the reason they ask is because I take time. And I think, you have to live life a year, 2 years, and then write from this vantage point in order to truly make a new album. Not a facsimile of your last album.
Right.
And look, I put out my last record, you remember very well. I was supposed to do an interview with you announcing the Nick Jonas Demi Tour.
Right.
And I got a call that day, I'm flying high, a bees is blowing up, and mom calls and dad has a tumor the size of a tangerine in his head.
Right.
So I flew home to Detroit. I missed our interview, which is, my fault. But at the time, I was like, dude, this is life, No,
you had to do that.
Of course. And so I basically moved home to Detroit, right? I sold my house in L.A. to help my father die. And I lived through that. And then I moved back I started writing, and then as I'm writing, and Avicii dies. It's my buddy, And so this album, you live life, and bad things happen sometimes, but you try to find a beauty in this, and a silver lining in every suffering, and learn from it. And this is what my album is about. It's about finding the beauty despite the ghastly, despite the disgusting, and despite the hard.
Well, not to sound creepy, but I was watching you on Instagram. And as you say, you moved back to Detroit to help your father die. I was watching you actually helping your father live. I saw you guys spending a lot of time with each other. You did simple things with your dad. I saw you guys outside a lot. I saw a lot of trees. I'm trying to remember what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And another thing, I must comment on what you said. Cranking out like one album every 6 months, I don't know how anyone could do that.
I could do it real easy.
Well, I know.
I don't think I would be satisfied artistically.
It's like, let's say you're in a serious relationship with someone and you break up and you're heartbroken. If you need some time off to figure out who you are before you get into another relationship. Yeah. I'm assuming a relationship with an album is kind of like a relationship with a person.
Yeah.
You need time.
Yeah. Well, so I had a moment a few years ago. I heard Bob Marley Redemption Song, mm-hmm. which in my opinion is maybe the best song ever. I love this song. It's my favorite. And I listened to it and I realized I know all the words in this song are in my vocabulary. Okay. I can play all the chords on the guitar and my voice can hit all the notes. So why haven't I written a redemption song yet? And you have to live life and become that person.
Right.
So Quincy Jones says, your quality as a musician is a function of your quality as a human. I believe this, You got to practice too, but you have to become a better human. This is the point, of life. You could try and get better. And yeah, I appreciate you saying what you said, helping my dad live, because this is a good way to look at it, and it's true. And look, my dad wasn't in pain, and he was at home, and we all got to say goodbye and tell him we love and say all the things we needed to say. So I really actually feel lucky and grateful. And I had a dad in the first place.
Right.
So it's one shift that, it's like, if you're missing something, you had something good in the first place. So you should appreciate that, and, to start off with. And then, not everyone gets this luxury of getting to say goodbye. So I would just ask all your listeners, everyone in the studio, if there's someone you love, you should tell them today. Like, pick up the phone now and tell them thank you, and tell them why you love them. Not one of those throwaway I love yous at the end of the call, but let them know. And I tell my friends this, and it's deep in some of their relationships with their father that they still have. Because everyone wants you to forget you're going to die. Everyone wants you to forget you're going to die, so then you'll waste your time working for their company, making money and spending it on what they're selling. But, everyone's going to die. It's like Dad died, Avicii died, now Mac died. One day I'm going to die. But until then, I'm going to live the way I want to do it.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
To your point, one day, not as deep as you instructed people to do. Call people, tell them you love them, and tell them why. We told all of our listeners, pick up the phone, call someone you love, say, hey, I just want to call and say I love you, and then hang up on them.
Yeah. I don't make them wonder what just happened.
Yeah,
what just happened?
Freak them out a little bit.
What'd you do?
Like, they call back, what? Why'd you do that?
Yeah.
Where are you going with that? But
you ever
what?
notice you talk nice about people behind their back?
Yeah, of course
and
you
you
do.
don't tell them to their face.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's silly.
We take people for granted, and the people that we're closest to, we abuse the most.
you
know?
I noticed I was always telling everyone else how great my mother was. And I was like, you've told everyone except her.
Right. Go do it.
Yeah, what are you waiting for, dude?
So Mike Posner's here, by the way. You got to go back and listen to if you missed the first of this interview and the performance, you got to go listen to it.
Where can they hear it?
Oh God, just tune into the cosmos.
Google
it.
Google
All answers
Google
on Google.
it. Oh my gosh.
When your dad was still alive, did you ever do that thing like I did with my parents before they passed away? You remember when I was just 4 and I got up in the middle of the night and I peed all over your bed? I want to apologize for that. And so I went through the list of things they thought were awful that I did when they were alive.
Yeah.
And they were like, we had no problem with that.
Yeah, or we don't remember.
All the time I had stole the car and almost got arrested. I thought they hated me that day. They were like, no, you're our son. We love you. And it's unfortunate that we have to wait until those goodbye moments.
You don't. You don't have to.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the freaking point.
All the things my kids are doing to me now, I call my mom and I go, yeah, I get it. And I'm sorry.
It's this funny thing. I used to think my mom was such a burden when I was a teenager into my early 20s. My phone would ring and say, Mom. I go, ugh.
Yep.
And then something clicked at like 23, 24. I wish it was earlier. It was like, you are so lucky you have a mom calling you that loves you right now.
Yeah.
It's just like to have someone that loved you before you can even remember, it's just a gift you can never repay back.
Well, sometimes we need someone to take a shovel and just beat us upside the head.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And then when your mom looks at you and says, hey, Mikey, I just want you to know that I'm so proud to be your
Michael.
mom.
It's usually a Michael.
That's when you've been bad.
That's when you did something and your middle name gets used.
Yeah.
Let me reset. Mike Posner's here. The new single, Song About You. He just performed that. But the song you did before that, kind of grabbed me. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm still processing it.
Yeah.
What was that song?
It's called Stuck in the Middle.
Stuck in the Middle.
Yes. It's the second to last track on the new album. Comes out probably the beginning of next year or so.
Why did that song grab me? Well, why did it grab you?
Because that's how I feel.
Stuck in the middle.
Yeah, look at me with my crazy beard, and I'm in the biggest pop radio show in the country. It's like I can't decide the last verses. People love the old me. I don't know where he's gone. To what I say? People that owe me, I don't know where he's gone. Too tired to be famous, too vain to be unknown. And that's how I feel. It's like part of me wants to just run away and go in the mountains and not come back. And I do this sometimes for like a month or two.
Well, you should.
But then part of me really likes everyone telling me how good I am at music. So then I come, if I'm here and I'm stuck in the middle.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think anyone and everyone listening can actually apply that to their lives in some way. We're kind of stuck in the middle, but not an awful place to be stuck.
Well, I had a funny talk with a good friend of mine, Cal Fussman. Cal Fussman's like one of the best interviewers, writers in the world. It's like Larry King and Cal Fussman. He's not as famous because he writes. He's not on TV. So he was interviewing me, and he's a friend. And I was telling him, I think I'm crazy because like 2 months ago, I literally was looking up how to join the army. Because, when you sing, you get nervous before you put your reputation on the line each time you perform. And you're like on the edge. And there's something addictive about this. In the army, you put your life on the line, right? So it's like the ultimate. So I was like looking this up, Googling, like I'm too old for Navy. I can still go in Army. And then a week later, I did a meditation retreat. And I literally was Googling like how to become a Buddhist monk. Right. And I thought, you are off the rocker, dude. Like you're going from army to monk. And then I told Cal this, and he goes, no, what you do as a job is the middle of those things. And you're not stuck there. You're supposed to be there.
Right. I get that.
Yeah.
See, I don't think that's crazy at all. I think
right between the battlefield and the temple.
I know, but Mike, there's nothing wrong with testing yourself, with debating, well, this left or right. You're in the middle.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have to judge someone by the way they look, and I hate to do that. I think you look more like you than you probably ever have. So
I feel good.
So let that go.
My dad, when I see pictures of my dad, I'm 30, and when I see pictures of him when he's 30, he looks exactly like me.
Kind of creepy a little bit in a good way. Good creep.
Yeah.
Well, look, Mike, thank you so much for coming in.
It's always good. I mean, look, it's an absolute honor to be here. I love you as a human, and I love what you do. And
we shared purple shampoo.
You did.
Yeah.
And purple shampoo.
It's just an honor to be able to play on this show. I mean, artists all over the world would kill to be in my seat. So thank you for letting me be here.
And I must say that my favorite part of this interview didn't happen in this room. It's what happened between the last time we saw you and now. That's fascinating because you just told the whole story.
Thank you.
The album. Talk to me. When's this coming out? In January?
Next year. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the date. We tease these
there's
things
all these attorneys.
Well,
I hate them.
It's not an attorney thing. So we try to milk it for press. He released the date, this kind of thing. If I was more famous, I'd just put it out like Drake. Boom, album's out. But I got
videos too.
Yeah,
right?
I got to do like the single first.
Drop it all in one day.
Yeah.
Well, Mike Posner, I can't wait to see you again because I know a whole story will be written between now and then.
Yeah.